In 2021 and 2022, I had two events where I saw my account go to zero, and both of these events could have been avoided if I had the right information in front of me. Now, before we go to these two events, I would like to take you back to the beginning, where it all started. It started out in 2009. Bitcoin was still new, and I heard it via a colleague. It sparked my interest, but I was too young to really invest any of my time into it. I was during the time still in uni, and I was learning about big data, and my interests were clearly elsewhere. Now, eventually in 2027 or 2017, I heard from another colleague that they were looking for Haskell developers for Cardano. And mind you, my Haskell programming skills were a zero, but nonetheless, I was still interested. So I did my research and I helped out where I could. And this also sparked my interest again in trading. And I started doing more and more research into it. And eventually it turned out me basically investing my monthly salary and the side projects that I had from development money, I also spent in spot. So I diversified my profile in crypto. That's how I started out. And then eventually in 2018, I learned about futures trading, and I still kept spot trading, and I was basically swapping around and making small profit left and right. You could say I was doing pretty well during the time, and some might say, hey, it's beginner luck. I would say it was kind of beginner luck, to be honest. During the 2018 and 19, we were kind of in a bear market, so nothing really happened, and it was a great period for me to start tinkering around with creating my own bots from scratch. Over here you see one of those bots as a visual, and what I did. I was having a lot of fun with that, and keep in mind, fun was what kept me going, because the price wasn't that exciting, yet I was making money with it, and because I was making money with it, I kept the interest going. And eventually in 2020 we had the COVID crash, and all my bots worked accordingly and shut down during the time, so the losses were minimal, I would say. In the meantime, I kept diversifying into spot and swapping, and every month I got my salary, I took out a small portion and reinvested that. Then we come to 2021. My first liquidation event, big liquidation event. I was in a long position, and I was cross leveraged, meaning I risked the total account balance. And for me, the account balance was pretty big, and this was also including your spot balance. There was on Binance during the time. And what happened was we had a flash crash, we had a Black Swan event. And I kept DCAing into my position. And mind you, this is not smart. Never DCA in a losing position, only if that is your strategy. But personally, for me, it never works out. So yeah, big event happened. And only the next day, I came to the realization why that liquidation event happened. The Chinese had a ban on crypto miners, apparently. And that's why the market crashed. So only the next morning, I realized why the market crashed. And if I knew during the time, I would have cut my losses early and called it a day there. Now, this happened. This was, of course, a bummer, so to say, because I had a couple of years of my worth of my salary invested into that account. Now that account is gone, I had to do everything over again. So every month I saved up again, and we were at the end of 2022, and I met a couple of friends, and they talked me over to move everything from spot over to FTX. There was a lot of FUD regarding Binance during the time, and there was more thought about Binance in the past as well, but eventually they convinced me over, so I took everything over to FTX, and I also had a small portfolio in Bybit as well. In 2022, FTX collapsed, and we also saw the Luna crash happen. So once again, I saw my hard-earned money evaporate in front of me, and could have been avoided. Yes, no, maybe. To be honest, there were signs, and there were a couple of people already talking about a potential collapse of FTX. Were they insiders? I don't think so. I think the information was right in front of us. But we didn't know where to look, I think. So, two events happened. In 2021, we had the minor liquidation, where I lost everything. This was mainly my own fault, I would say, and also risk management. I should have cut my losses earlier. So, learning moment. And in 2022, the FTX collapse, I think that's someone else's fault. And the only lesson that I learned from that is that I should diversify more, but I would probably still have moved over because I really got convinced that Binance was gonna shut down. So I was really convinced to go to FTX, and that was the right move during the time. In hindsight, of course, no, but that is in hindsight, I guess. Now, going to 2023, I was devastated, of course, but I also wanted to learn from my losses. And having seen the profit that I was able to make, so I was making good profit out of it, also kept me going in the trading space. So in 2023, I was mainly backtesting, and I also was still working on the side for a couple of development jobs that I was working with. The Cardano one was slowly dying off, and that was fine with me. Then in 2024, I was doing more and more research on other markets. So I was mainly doing research on options trading. I had my own interactive broker account, and I was trading the SPY and the QQQ and SPX. And I was having decent results, I would say. But I noticed one thing immediately, and I also noticed this during my crypto trading days, that markets correlate. So this is important. Now, with the options market, I slowly drifted into trading futures like the Nasdaq and ES. And I still trade that till this day. But it's always nice to have a little bit of experience in every market. So I trade the QQQ, and the QQQ also moves the Nasdaq. And later years, I also know that the XLK, the stock market, also moves the Nasdaq. I'm doing more and more research in what moves the price. It's very important for me to know what makes the market move. And coming back, so I had the 2 liquidation events, and I was trying to learn from my mistakes. And we are now at the end of 2024, where I was options trading and futures trading the Nasdaq and ES for the first time. There was a bit of a mixed bag, by the way, with the Nasdaq and ES. I made a couple of winning trades, a couple of losing trades. But I kept risk in check because I was still trading with a personal broker, and I am still trading with that same personal broker account. So it's still live and still active. But I also found out about prop firm trading. I watched a couple of streamers that were promoting it, and for me it was eye-opening because hey, I can invest a little bit and I can work my way out to a payout. And now I have a full separate video of that, of the pros and cons of that. But it's an interesting watch, and prop firms aren't everything as well. And now that you know my history with trading, you also know that I always traded with a personal account and always with real life money. Again, the monthly investments that always went to the side to my personal account, and I do that still till this day. Now, coming in 2025, I am more invested in trading than ever. And I start becoming better and better at trading. I did my research on multiple strategies. Hey, what works for me? What doesn't work for me? I was learning about order flow, the footprint, and how to read it properly and how to act on certain market movements and patterns. I already know from my crypto days that patterns can reoccur. So pattern traders out there that are profitable, I get it. For me, I'm not a candlestick trader per se. I'm more of a DOM trader. And it was also in late 2024 where I really started to invest my time in DOM trading and DOM scalping. And I now mainly focus on DOM scalping, but the right information in front of me, because some of my losses could have been easily avoided if I had the right mindset and the right information in front of me. And this is also why I created the Sharpnail terminal. So this was the start of 2025, where I started to develop a terminal where I can do my technical analysis and going with a bias into a session. Now, of course, if that bias gets invalidated, you also have to adapt and change. But at the beginning of 2025, I started the development of creating a terminal for retail traders like you and me who trade from their home desk, and giving them an opportunity to see what's going on in other markets, because it's very important to know what moves the price. And if you see, let's say you're trading the Nasdaq and you see a sudden move down and you have no clue why that move happened. Pattern traders could say, oh yeah, it's because of this and this level and pattern. Fine. I say it's because of a tech sector over there is dumping their shares, and this is also dragging the rest of the market down. Or with gamma levels or GAX levels, they do get respected, and they during the New York session they like to move it around, but they work like magnets and they do work. So again, having the right information in front of you is very important if you take trading seriously. So after learning about the other streamers that were promoting the prop firms, I also gave it a fair go. And in 2025, I noticed that I lost a lot of accounts, and then I also made it to a couple of payouts. My first prop firm was Apex, and my second one was Bullinox. And I got my very first payout at Bullinox, and I also learned about copy trading and the power of copy trading. But that also brings, of course, a lot of risks. And eventually I noticed that some streamers that I followed, they didn't show their live trades, they didn't show their P&L, and they also didn't show any payouts. Now, some traders do, And for the traders and live streamers out there that share your P&L and share your accounts, I respect you. And that is the way everybody should do it, I think. Over here, I have created the same. I journaled in 20 evaluation accounts from Apex to a funded stage and to a payout stage from start to finish, where I showcase the struggles as well, because as you can see, it's not always a green day. I also have a couple of red days in there. And I also try to promote the slow and steady route, because it took me a while for them to get to a max payout. But what I also want to showcase here is honesty and transparency. And I see in the trading space there isn't enough transparency sometimes. And coming from the crypto space, where everything is on the blockchain, everybody can say, oh, I made $1 million, but you can track that back on the blockchain and everything is visible. Now, with the future trading of the NASDAQ and the ES traders, it's a bit more difficult, I think, to track. I don't think you can track it even. So that's also why I created this Discord post showing, hey, it is possible, it is real. Now, in the other video with the prop firm versus broker, I also say, hey, it isn't everything, and I still trade both. And eventually I'm leaning more and more to trading my personal broker account with proper risk management, of course, because after all those years of trading, I learned a lot, and also regarding risk management. But coming back now in 2026, Sharpnail Trading is officially launched and live. I registered the business in Belgium, so it's a Belgium-based company. But I want to give traders a fair chance to know what's going on in the trading space. And having the right information in front of you does that. I went to a professional trading desk, and I immediately saw, okay, these guys are on a different level. They have the same information in front of us as we do, I think. Maybe they have access to a little bit more information than we, but it comes down to the same thing. And especially if you are a DOM trader like me, the DOM information, the level 2 information is the same level 2 information they have. But you can really see, okay, these guys are really trained. And during the day that I was there, I learned a lot. But I also try to think of it, hey, how can I give the retail trader the same experience and the same information? And that's what I built in the Sharpnail terminal. Now, I would highly suggest taking a look at my website, sharpnailtrading.com. I'll leave a link down below. And keep in mind, slow and steady wins the race. This is going to be a quote, I think, that I'll say at every ending of the video, but I really mean it. And proper risk management. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a nice day.